past few days, I've been meditating on the link between physical pain and anger. On enemies. As a human, it is entirely possible to be neutral, and it is possible to be a friend. Well, outside of neutrality, when people overstep boundaries and play outside of the friend code, which is an unwritten law that humans have in their heart to be beneficent and in service, that makes you an enemy. To my existence. But I don't have enemies. I just have people who see me as an enemy, and the way that some people are comfortable with treating other humans means that when they have enemies, it's dangerous, right? It's not great. So, for example, you might notice I've got a black eye, and you might know that I have a leg injury at the moment, and this was all down to the actions of somebody else. And I could blame that person, but I don't even know who the man was, because quite a few people in this area see me as an enemy. I'm a friend to all. I feed my enemies. When people come for me, I get the kettle on. But that particular day, when I ended up being gifted some physical damage, I didn't. I metaphorically got the kettle on too much. I sat drinking with people who I don't really know. And then eventually, somebody, I don't even know really what happened last week because of the alcohol, but I didn't drink loads, but I drank enough for my spirit to not be present, and so I didn't defend myself. I wasn't present, I couldn't. And I survived and got some wounds to remember, because I don't want to drink. I have no need to drink alcohol, but I have a lot of sympathy for all the humans. There are many lost humans in this life, and I like to sit with them. And that means that sometimes I gaslight myself into doing as they do in order to I don't know. But that was then. I will not be doing this anymore. And so I got a cut just below my knee, which turned septic and made the very top of my shin swell up, reducing my mobility and bringing an extreme amount of pain especially when weight bearing. So it slim me down. And so the liver is constantly in a state of renewal unless you are engaging in drinking alcohol. And the liver is where anger is processed, so dangerously angry people quite often are alcohol dependent, suppressing and stuffing down their anger. So becoming a victim to their victimhood, basically, if they're trapped in that loop. And I've thought about the support that I've received in this life. The true substantial support. Even being in this flat is not real support. Because it's not natural for humans to live above the ground level. Not unless it's in a tree house or something. So I have been my support network. Until recently. But to tune into that as a concept, it can invoke great rage. I was brought into this world by some humans that never cared about me. I was raised in a society that only cares about me relative to the productivity that I offer in return. I was displaced. I displaced myself time and time again in a country that has crooked morals and corruption at every level. The resistance I have faced just for being myself. The world has tried to kill me, not sustain and nourish, not like the earth, of which I am. Life, compassion. The birds have done more to keep me alive in this life than humans, and all they did was just be. I've been mocked, belittled, betrayed, humiliated, rejected, abandoned, slandered. And none of it matters. In fact, for anybody that has ever exerted any energy in the name of bad mind and not love, ill will, anything, anybody who's ever laughed at my misfortune or made effort, exerted effort to make my life harder than it could or should be, or might be, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to be who you are in this life. But I'm not sorry. I will not apologise for being who I am. Ever. I'm very grateful to be me, regardless of the size of the support network. My circle is very small. Because, contrary to belief, I am a sensible man. My liver has been detoxing this past week. And that's the good thing about alcohol. It's an irritant, so you can provoke a bodily response. And as long as you're tuned into the technology of your body system, you can be part of that process and understand it and hold the emotions that present, everything that's stirred up, and release. Transmute into the highest form of love. And that is how I've managed to not only stay alive, but prosper and thrive in this life. By getting to the point where I'm so strong in my knowing that any energy that comes to me gets turned into energy used for the highest good. I'm done with this wounded warrior bullshit. I'm done getting attacked. I will fight to the death to protect what I believe in. But this is why on Saturday I got punched a few times, I rolled around a bit, but then I just ran off because that is not the hill that I'm going to die on. Somebody else's beef with me. That's their problem. There are so many lost souls in this life that also want to make you lose yourself and your way. But when you just consistently bring it back and remember why we're actually here, then you learn to avoid these people. It was inevitable that I would experience attacks because I lived in a public park for 3.5 months, and in my experience, doesn't matter what area it is, once my energy is in a particular area, after a while, all of the ghosts and ghouls and goblins come out. My presence irritates demonic forces within people, but it also activates God. So people can either learn, people can either appreciate my presence as the catalyst to knowing God from within themselves, or they will see me as the devil. Especially if they fuck about with my peace. Because I am free. I can go wherever I want. I dip in and out of places. I thought that I was going to be putting roots down here in Newport, but I had to think that, otherwise I wouldn't have stayed for so long. But now it's time to leave. And when I withdraw my energy from this island, and I'm not bragging, boasting, it's not about me, but when I am no longer here, I wouldn't want to be here. People just see me, lone individual, sitting duck, easy target. That's the mistake, right? God uses me to bait out the badness, the wicked, fall prey to their own plots and schemes. Really? So much hatred I have witnessed in this place. And by hatred, don't get it twisted. Anything which is not love is hatred. Hatred is an absence of love. It's not necessarily motivated acts of violence. Even just looking and thinking badly about somebody is hatred. So, I see it. Everybody knows me around here, even if they've never spoken to me. So, a lot of people just form their own opinions based on hearsay. But it's serious because we're here to shape the world, to defend the earth and the land, and to come together in a common unity. I am living in a community. I'm living within a community, in my own community, because nobody has a common unity with me, save for one, which does make all the difference, don't get me wrong. But in order for me to do what I need to do in this life and to feel truly safe, my community needs to build. It needs to be built and extend. Well, how do you think it would go building a community within a pre-existing community? Or cult, if you like. This whole island is an energetic grid. Potent, right at the foot of the spine of Albion ley line. It's the dot on the exclamation mark. There's a lot of strange things, strange experiences, strange happenings. Powerful magic can go one way or the other. Like, David Icke was born on this island. I don't know if that means anything to you, but so I am no longer able to be got. I am no longer in a position where other people's misplaced anger, where other people's unexplored trauma can leak out onto me. Because you might think, makes no sense to live in a public park, especially after you start to receive negative reactions. But I had no choice. I created a sanctuary within a tent, sleeping under the canopy of some yew trees. 3.5 months I imprinted my energy on that space. And yeah, I could have moved. I could have gone and pitched up by the river. It would have been peaceful. But that would have been worse. Because if anybody ever found out where that tent was, in a space where there's not people around, and there's no CCTV cameras, because, let's get it straight, twice I was physically assaulted in that park, and twice it was on CCTV. Once was in broad daylight. But it wasn't about safety for me. I didn't even realise there was a camera on me when I first pulled up in that spot. I was just drawn to the trees. And not long after I got there, the biggest tree in the park was butchered. It was accused of being rotten and cut down. Accused of being rotten and cut down. Because of the environmental implications, it wasn't the tree's fault. It was because they built a road right next to where the roots wanted to be. I implicitly know that the road is where I find sanctuary, more than anything. I don't belong anywhere, because I belong everywhere. My home is where I am. But you can't have a home in someone else's house. This flat doesn't belong to me. It comes with conditions. And it's 20 plus feet up in the air. But it's a perfect space just to rest my leg while the swelling goes down. Yesterday, I went to the hospital. I got a course of antibiotics for 7 days, which would take me up to next Friday, when I get paid, and coincidentally, or not, where I am invited to a gathering on the mainland, up north, of community, real community, my kind of people. My kind of people are just people who take care of themselves and who look out for others. That's what I need, right? That's what I need. To be held by the presence of a group of people. I think there's a lot that needs to be expressed and released. I can feel it already. Within the container of safe community, especially when I leave this island next week. It's going to be emotional. I've invested a lot here. I've healed a lot here, and I've battled a lot here. But ultimately I got to see Newport, the infrastructure of support services, just the area, the people, the organisations. Got to see it for what it is. The whole island, in fact. And I've seen enough. I've seen enough.